Hello and welcome to Don't Bury the Lead. We recap WWE SmackDown every Friday night after the bell. But tonight, rather today, night, kind of afternoon, is a special afternoon because we watched WWE Backlash from Paris, or outside of Paris, France. Lyon, France. We are typically also doing this remotely, but today we watched it together in my living room, or backstage.
Backstage, yes, of course.
And after watching it backstage, we're going to do the show. My name's John Zindel. I'm joined by Dom Scarcella. Dom, go ahead and tell the people a little bit about yourself.
Well, great being here at Don't Bury the Lead Studios. For our second in-person Don't Bury the Lead live stream here. Last time we did it, it was February. It was way down in Australia. We've got another outside of the U.S. pay-per-view today. Saturday afternoon here in southern New Jersey. It's like a college football game in the fall. Without further ado, John, don't bury the lead. What's our top story coming out of Backlash 2024?
Tom, we don't ever bury the lead. We get right to it. And the lead is the main event. Cody Rhodes knocks off AJ Styles in a somewhat predictable finish. I thought this was a really good match. The crowd was completely unglued and out of control the entire time. We'll probably delve into that throughout the course of the show. But I thought this was a pretty good main event for Backlash, and good to see AJ put on a good performance and put Cody over. Dom, what did you think about this main event?
You alluded to it. Cody had won the belt at WrestleMania, so this is 4 weeks later. Every title holder who won the belt at WrestleMania retained today. Nobody got the 4-week title reign. WWE kicked it off of them in less than a month. So everybody who got the belt 4 weeks ago still has it after today. Cody Rhodes included. This was after 1,316 days of Roman Reigns as the WWE Undisputed Universal, however many words they put into that title belt. And those very slow, methodical, Roman Reigns being that monster heel kind of match. This was a 27-minute match, which is probably on the low side of the average for a Roman Reigns title defense.
Yeah.
But it was much faster paced than a Roman Reigns title defense. It also did not involve a ref bump and 3 relatives getting involved in the finish at some point. So this was a refresh. This was like starting over for the WWE at the top of their card. Cody Rhodes is a much different kind of wrestler than Roman Reigns is. And to have AJ Styles as his first opponent, this was a fast-paced 27 minutes. It was very evenly matched. It was a great opportunity for Cody to show off a lot of what he brings to the table as a champion, as a complete worker in the ring, because he's in there with somebody that can bring him out of it. I mean, either one of these guys could have been WWE Universal Champion. They're those kind of workers. They're those kind of personalities. I was impressed by just how different this match was from the typical main events that we go through. Were there any spots or sequences that you wanted to touch on? You brought up the crowd at one point and whether or not the crowd sort of influenced what we were. Obviously, it was a big influence if you're there in person in Lyon, France. It got to us a little bit as well. What do you want to go into first here?
Well, I mean, as far as the main event's concerned, it's a really good point. We've been watching these Roman Reigns matches, and they're all the same. There's tons of schmozzes and interference. The crowd's always very into it, and it always tells a good story. But we just saw a regular wrestling match, which is kind of refreshing. I like the beginning here. There's real wrestling.
Yes.
They mentioned AJ Styles and really specifically Cody Rhodes' background in folk style wrestling.
Yep.
Kind of interesting. They always forget to mention oftentimes their real life backgrounds, the pro wrestlers, and That's sort of a throwback. I feel like this throwback. It's something Jim Ross always does.
Yeah.
But JR no longer with WWE, now with AEW, so you don't hear those mentions as much. So I like the real wrestling. There was a really cool corner spot where basically AJ Styles pushes Cody off, and Cody just kind of lands on his tailbone, and Cody sells his lower back and his tailbone. I just like that because I haven't really seen that corner spot done like that.
Mm-hmm.
And it's just a wrinkle on a pretty typical transition, right? Where they're in the corner and they do something.
Yeah, not everything has to be this enormous power spot.
Yeah.
Like sometimes you can just fight out of a hold and, a guy's up on a turnbuckle, he lands flat on his back and both guys are down. Like not every spot has to be one guy with a clear advantage.
Yeah.
And I think we saw a lot of that tonight and it did not think it took away from the match. There were a few moments here where both guys were down and both guys were trying to make their way to the feet and the crowd got into it. One of them was when they were on the outside of the ring and the ref's giving the 10 count.
Mm-hmm.
And they both barely made it back into the ring for the 10 count to beat the count.
Yeah.
And the crowd sort of got into it. Then they both kind of got to their feet and they slugged it out. There were a couple times where they almost, like in video game style, hit the reset button.
Yeah.
Where they had both kind of been spent and they're both tired and they're both staggering to their feet. This was not a no-sell match where guys is like, get hit with a spot and they don't sell. They pop up when they hit their spot. Eventually, the crowd really gets into the fact that, they've been wrestling for 20 minutes and now they're both kind of, okay, it's been a tie so far.
Mm-hmm.
Let's have a big finish here. I mean, let's go to the finish a little bit here. Cody winds up hitting a Cody cutter, but not springing off the middle rope.
Mm-hmm.
He goes middle rope in the corner, hops up to the top rope, and really leaps off of it. And if you're watching it live as we were, if you wind up watching it on the replay, that's such an unusual move. I wonder if they practiced it much because AJ at first was a little too close. So as Cody's leaping in the air, you can see AJ kind of, as he's taking the move, kick his feet back a little bit because it really is a different angle than taking it off the middle rope.
Yeah, he got a ton of air.
Yes, because when you're off the top rope, not only are you a couple of feet higher, but you're leaping up more than just springing off the middle rope where you're just kind of going horizontal.
Mm-hmm.
So this was really a fun-looking move, just the visual of Cody being way up in the air like that. AJ catches it well and then backs up so that he can take the bump correctly. It looks fantastic. Right after that, Cody hits Crossroads for the pin. It was 3:50 in the afternoon here in New Jersey, the East Coast of the U.S. The match had started at 3:23. So this was about a 3-hour premium live event.
Yeah, it was
There were
perfect.
5 matches. It didn't go too long. It didn't go too short either. And this was a good capstone for it.
Yeah, I guess my only beef would be that they advertised it was 12 p.m., 12 p.m., 12 p.m. You show up at 12 p.m. and it's a pre-show.
It was a pre-show, yeah.
But no, outside of that, I thought it was really good. And I do want to mention this because we'll be making a short video about the main event. Mm-hmm. I don't think we can leave out the crowd here.
Sure.
This is really, really unique with the crowd's energy and the way all the chants were not in English. So I had no idea what they were chanting. The variety of chants, the amounts there were, and maybe even we talked about it while we're watching it. It's like they almost weren't even. It's almost like they could have been watching anything, and the crowd was kind of having the same reaction. What do you think of the crowd?
I wrote that here as well. They were hot. There were times when they were really into it. They start doing the 10 count with the ref late here because people like to count. But I wrote down in this match. Crowd chants one of its songs through a series of spots and reversals as if they're not paying attention at all. Not the first time tonight this has seemed to happen. So the crowd almost had too much energy that at times they weren't really playing off of what was being shown to them in the ring. They were just kind of as if they came in with their script.
Yeah.
And somebody cued them. The crowd, to me, it was almost like they were a Spotify playlist.
Yeah.
Right? Like somebody hit or we're on YouTube. A YouTube playlist.
We'll say YouTube.
We'll
for
say
the
YouTube.
algorithm.
So it's, a playlist. So somebody hit the button. It's like, okay, this song's in. Oh, next one's up. No matter what's happening in the ring, the crowd's now in their next song. So not knowing, you mentioned that it was almost like a soccer crowd.
Yeah.
These European soccer crowds that are just crazy into things. They get an A for enthusiasm. I give them maybe a C for attention span. It did not detract much from us. I mean, if anything, it was at times amusing.
Yeah. I think it really added a lot to the entire program, but it was interesting that it could have been anything that was happening and that they weren't really reactive.
Mm-hmm.
Whereas you get the US crowd, they're cheering and booing, but they're into what's actually happening in the ring a bit more. I don't know if there's cheaper booze in France. Maybe that's what it is. Because I know the stadiums, it's like $18 a beer. Maybe you opt to be a bit more sober. And these people, maybe it's like $3 for a little thing of wine. I don't know. €3 for a thing of wine. Who knows?
WWE mentioned this was their largest gate, which is a revenue for an arena show. So I imagine the tickets had to be pretty pricey there because they announced only about 12,000 in attendance.
Yeah.
So for 12,000 in attendance to be a bigger gate than some of their U.S. side shows that have 15, 16, 17,000, they're spending a lot of money there in France to come out to the show. So, hey, they got their money's worth, right? It's like, I paid a lot to be in this crowd. I'm going to sing all of my songs and chant all of my chants, and I'm going to make sure I have the best time I possibly can. So, kudos to them. I'm not going to, unless you're really crapping on the show, I'm not going to criticize how people choose to, enjoy themselves at a live event.
Yeah, I think the whole thing is that if the crowd's dead and not into it, then it takes away from it. And that definitely wasn't the case.
No.
You go back and watch some of the old COVID shows and it's like horrible. So this is amazing to see how crazy the crowd was. So, Dom, anything else from the main event here that you want to talk about?
I was wondering how people would take to Cody as the champion, especially because he's a babyface now. The WWE does not suffer for baby faces, but it's always been tougher to have a baby face as your champion, only because it's more compelling to have the baby face chasing the heel. Mm-hmm. So this is going to be interesting. I mean, even in the Hulk Hogan days when he was a baby face, they had to just feed him these monster heels just to make it look like Hulk was the underdog. Mm-hmm. So, it's going to be interesting to see that the crowd seems to be everywhere they go behind Cody Rhodes. I hope the interest stays there because it really does give you a different sense with Cody Rhodes as a babyface, as a smaller wrestler who he always looks like the underdog, even almost against AJ Styles, even though they're the same about size in that 220 to 230 pound range. Cody's a different looking champion than we've seen for 3.5 years.
Right.
He's even a little different from, say, Seth Rollins, who had the World Heavyweight Championship since last May or June when they brought that back. Mm-hmm. So I'm interested to see how Cody's going to keep up this enthusiasm, if crowds will stick behind him as they have been, and if he can succeed wrestling these kind of matches that are fast-paced, because you usually want your main event in a pay-per-view to go at least 20, 25 minutes. Mm-hmm. So Roman Reigns doing that stalking, slower style can drag out a 35-minute match. Cody Rhodes working fast for 30 minutes, that's a lot more stuff going on.
Yeah.
So he and AJ got to 27 minutes today, and there was a lot going on in this 27 minutes. It's almost not worth it to go, favorite spots because there was so much action. If you want to go catch the replay on Peacock or wherever else you're buying your premium live events, I think you'll enjoy this match, especially if you're an old-time wrestling fan who likes to see two guys in the ring who know how to wrestle offensively and wrestle defensively. It's not just a spot fest. Guys who understand some of the psychology. I mean, there wasn't that Roman Reigns level of acting psychology in this one, but there was good psychology. I mean, Cody hulking up, the two guys jawing at each other because of their history with each other in the Bullet Club way back in Japan. So I think this is a good match to rather than take our word for us going spot for spot, this is a good match to go catch the highlights or even catch the whole match on a replay somewhere.
I did notice Cody hulking up.
Right?
And that's a little old school for the baby face to hulk up.
Yeah.
But he'd hulked up and it worked to perfection because they stopped chanting and they started cheering for him.
Finally, the crowd paid attention to what was in the ring. AJ hit a Birmingham hammer and Cody kicked out at 1.5. And then he just was immediately at his knees doing the head check. And now the crowd was like, oh, okay, here we go.
I think it's Raven I saw talking about the old wrestler Raven from WCW, ECW, talking about like that's all pro wrestling is. It's just like the heel getting over, and then the guy the babyface hulking up back, you know. But yeah, so it was old school, and he was able to kind of get the victory, which is pretty predictable. So I think that's good for the main event.
That's good for the lead. Yeah.
So that's the lead. We usually have a little graphic above us that explains that. But today is a special day. We're in real life, so we're just going to be firing right here with no graphic until we get to JP, of course. But
there you go.
We're talking about the follow here. So we have 4 other matches that took place today.
Where to next?
Where to next, from my perspective?
All of them except one were title matches.
And all of them except one were good. Were really good.
Okay.
So let's stick with the good ones. Let's stick positive. I think Jey Uso and Damian Priest, from my end, was a really cool match. Damian Priest goes over Jey Uso after a lot of interference. Had a little bloodline feel with people kind of interfering and interfering. But I thought the match overall was good. Damian Priest really kind of stepping up to the moment as a champion. And from my end, I really like Jey Uso's ability to control the crazy crowd. Because the crowd's crazy the whole time.
Yes.
But he did an excellent job controlling them, making them cheer how he wanted, rather than them just doing like, hey, Bailey, ooh, ah, like for like 15 minutes.
Yep. The yeets. The arms go up and and then he drops the hands and it's yeet.
Yeah.
Yes. He's the conductor and they're the orchestra.
What'd you think of this one, Dom?
A 16-minute match. I enjoyed the action. This was the biggest thing about this for me, other than Damian Priest retaining, is that this anniversary in a sense. It was 1 year ago at Backlash where he lost to Bad Bunny in a match in Puerto Rico where it was the main event. The crowd was crazy. And in our live stream after that match, recapping it, I said, Damian Priest is a star. Yeah. For him to get this kind of a match out of a non-wrestler, he's a star in the making. And it took a while. They gave him Money in the Bank, gave him his WrestleMania moment cashing in, and now they've given him a successful title defense. He wasn't main eventing this premium live event, but this is his 1 year anniversary, and I think he did well for himself here. He's doing some of that monster heel stuff because he's a taller wrestler, if not a heavier wrestler. He's about 250 pounds. He's about Gunther size.
Yeah.
So he's in that mold. He did the thing where, he would kind of glare at the crowd and jaw a little bit, posing as he was going into a sequence. As Jey was getting into it with the crowd and really playing off of them and getting them to cheer. Damian Priest, they would zoom in on him and he's scowling. He's looking around at the crowd sometimes. He doesn't like it. And then he just goes in and charges at Jey to break it up. So he's doing great heel stuff. However, at the end of this post-match, JD McDonough and Finn Balor, his cohorts from Judgment Day, start beating down Jey Uso. And Damian Priest tells him, stop. No, enough. He's had enough. It looks like Damian Priest is changing his character now that he's got a singles title.
Yeah.
Like now that he's a guy carrying the World Heavyweight Championship, he can't be this, just outcast. You can't be an outcast with the big gold belt.
Yeah.
And so this is definitely a character change. I wonder if a babyface turn is coming next. What did you think about this match and the performance from any one of these guys and any spots? I mean, we ought to mention before I kick it back to you that Damian Priest wins this. He does his South of Heaven choke slam from the second turnbuckle for the pinfall. There had been a few kickouts of things, but you expect that in a premium live event, a pay-per-view. So he hits a big spot to finally get the pinfall here. There was a little bit of interference in the sense that Finn and JD McDonough on the outside, they weren't really like socking it to Jay as much as they were distracting him and giving Damian Priest a chance to recover.
Yeah.
So it prevented Jay from really hitting some of his finishing sequences. So it was kind of interference, but not like Bloodline Solo Sikoa jumps up on the apron and spikes you.
Yeah.
Interference.
Right.
And then Jimmy gets into the ring and spears you and super kicks you. Interference. It wasn't that kind of interference, but it was definitely something.
Pretty egregious still.
It was egregious still. And Damian Priest, there's tension with it. Like, he doesn't like that. He when they were all just kind of up-and-comers and outcasts, it was one thing to gang up on people. But now that he's supposed to be the champion, it's like he doesn't want to be seen as the guy who can't fend for himself, who can't fight his own battles. You know, when you're the champ, you're supposed to be able to fight your own battles. So what say you? That's a lot to throw out there, but what say you?
I have an observation,
Sure,
not related to the in-ring match, but again with the crowd. Very, very, maybe the strangest sign I've seen at pro wrestling in a very long time. Bring back heel doink is a giant sign some guy keeps running around the ring with. And it's pretty prevalent, almost more prevalent than all of the Prime logos everywhere. Bring back heel doink, which would be insane for the WWE to do, because doink's dead.
They'd have to bring back another wrestler under all the face paint, which you could, because Doink's a clown. He's all dressed up.
Yeah,
you could have another guy come out and be Doink, but that's old. That's pretty old school. That's a few decades ago, right? That's 90s.
That's like WWE. Early mid 90s, early 90s even. You know,
Doink the clown, heel Doink. Bring back heel Doink. Tell us in the chat. Tell us in the comments. What old wrestler would you like to see the gimmick resurrected for in the WWE? And can you top heel Doink as the French crowd, that one fan there in Lyon, France today was suggesting? That's a good one.
And then I really liked, you pretty much covered everything. I thought there was a great false finish toward the end of the match. And the crowd really popped for the false finish.
Which one was that? There were a couple. The crowd did get into this at the end.
Yeah, I mean, whatever one specifically where Jay kicked out. So that was the one where it felt like, oh, he has a shot. Like, I think those are the good false finishes, when you have Jay kick out and it's like, oh, maybe he can win, you know, and there's like that little bit of belief given to the crowd.
I wrote that there because when Jay kicks out, I wrote next to it, crowd loves it.
Yeah.
Because it wasn't your typical, guy kicks out, all right, we're going to see more wrestling. Like, they were into this kick out. Yeah, that was when Finn Balor interfered from the crowd. He comes running through the crowd, distracts Jay. Jay super kicks him off the apron, then charges at Damian. But at that point, Damian Priest has recovered enough that he counters it with a big old clothesline. And then he hits his South of Heaven choke slam, but it's not, from the turnbuckle, just level on the mat. And that's usually his finisher. And yeah, when Jay kicked out of that, a huge lariat and then a choke slam, the crowd, like, that was an extra pop for that kick out. So I noticed that as well. Yeah, the crowd, that's when the crowd was paying attention.
And that's probably going to be a theme of this show here throughout the next couple matches, is you can tell when the crowd's doing good, not when they're making noise, but when they actually are reacting and paying attention. You're like, oh, they got the crowd paying attention again. Because the whole time they're rocking. Yep. They're just going crazy. So anything else from this Jey Uso Damian Priest match, or shall we move on to the next one?
I wonder where they're going to go with the Judgment Day storyline from here. That's a Raw thing. You and I mostly watch SmackDown. So
yeah.
That's unfortunate, because I've become a big Damian Priest fan over the past year, especially. I've appreciated Finn Balor and his work more. JD McDonough seems to be coming into his own as the annoying lackey.
Mm-hmm.
Like, he bumps like crazy.
Yeah.
And he did in this match as well. I mean, he took some bumps as he was trying to interfere, and Jey Uso kept getting the better of him.
Right.
So although JD did get his revenge there, it looked like Jay was going to win this match, and JD McDonough just barely grabbed Damian Priest's foot, put it up on the rope, and then yelled to the ref, "Foot's on the rope!" And the refs just stopped as he was going to count 3 and said, "No, foot's on the rope." So JD McDonough, him being there actually mattered, and he did it well. Everybody in this match is entertaining. I think it's a good match. It tells a good story of not only Damian Priest having his first singles title and his first single title defense, but as to what he may be doing with his character going forward and what it means for Judgment. Both the Bloodline and Judgment Day are in flux right now. Like the two factions who have been running their respective brands, like really in charge of the brands and having the A-level storyline in each brand, whether it's Raw or SmackDown, they are both in flux right now. So interesting times ahead.
Yep, and that's Jey Uso, Damian Priest. I picked this one. Where do you want to go to next, Dom? And maybe before you go next, we've got a lot of people online from Twitter.
Hello.
So if you're on Twitter, comment. Are you a bot or are you a real person? I'm really curious about this number of people that are watching. It's suspiciously high. So comment if you're watching right now. Just write something.
Send us a non-bot comment.
Non-bot comment.
Yeah, we're going to have people saying, "I am not a bot," which is exactly what a bot would say.
Right.
It's sorry, can you select all the pictures that have a motorcycle in them?
We just went through that.
To prove that you're a human? So, no, we think you're all humans out there. So, hey, send us something. Participate if you'd like in the live stream here. If you're watching on Twitch, on Twitter, on Facebook live stream, or on YouTube live stream right now, contribute in the chat. If you want to watch the archive of this show, the recording of it, or any of the edited clips that John here makes off of our live streams, find us on the YouTube channel. That's where the motherlode of our content is. Don't Bury the Lead, a wrestling channel on YouTube. Hey, be part of our next benchmark that we're aiming for in subscribers. We're over 500, making our way to 600, making our way hopefully to 1,000 soon. So contribute. We want to hear from you. And where to next here? Do you have a favorite match next?
I was going to say I picked the last one. I can pick this one too. Maybe we could go with the low light. And I think this is the only match that, although it was pretty good, and probably the weakest one on the card, is we have, where'd it go? Sorry, we have. It's so bad that I can't seem to find it. It's Jade Cargill and Bianca Belair versus the Kabuki Warriors. We have Jade Cargill and Bianca Belair win the title. So we have new tag team champs in the women's side. Good to see that, we actually have some action with the titles, because I feel like I haven't seen too much with them. And, Bianca is a great wrestler, and Jade is coming along, hopefully, at some point. Dom, what did you think about this match?
This is what I expected, and maybe what you expected as well, as to why they put Jade Cargill in a tag team with Bianca Belair. It's because it seems like they don't trust Jade to carry a one-on-one match by herself unless it's going to be a squash. Yeah. And you can't have a squash all the time if you're going to be serious about a title picture. You can squash people who are just up from NXT for a day, like Braun Breaker was doing to people. Yeah. Those poor guys he kept squashing on SmackDown. So Bianca does most of the work in this match for her team. Yeah. Winds up getting the pin. She pins Asuka after KODing Asuka on top of Kairi Sane and then covering Asuka. But even before that, Bianca's doing most of the work, which we expected, because part of it is probably Jade's development just as a pro wrestler. Part of it is also they're trying to make her almost this larger than life comic book character, Jade. Yeah. The Storm. Here comes the Storm. She's got the silver hair that's now cut short around the back. Almost like yours there, John. She got a haircut as well. That's why I cut my hair this. For Jade. I'm such a stan for Jade Cargill, and I was like, let me get her haircut. That's what I noticed right away. It's like, Jade came out, and I'm looking at you. I'm looking at Jade. I'm looking at you. I'm looking at I see it now. I got it, Plus, you were wearing the bikini top, while we were watching. You got dressed up for the live stream. That's good.
I don't have the six-pack she has. No, but Jade is especially like from a look, and because I watch AEW, she always like 11 out of 10 look. Like, holy crap. Yeah. She is a monster.
She's like a superhero.
Yeah, and
they just got to get her to be able to show that physically.
Mm. Yeah, so this match was a little rough because
the ref got confused, and we got confused with the ref as to who the legal wrestler was, what was going on.
Yeah.
Watch this one on replay as well, folks. Just watch this one for when the ref starts trying to tell wrestlers, no, you're not the legal wrestler. I can't count. And then someone who's not the legal wrestler apparently tags to come out of the match, even though the other wrestler was already legal on the outside. And then it was confusing. Too many moving parts here. The action was great, but some of the logistics of a tag match were confusing.
Yeah, it didn't look like very promising tag team champions getting the belts because everyone was lost. And it felt like they were lost for a couple minutes. Mm-hmm. So it was like they were hitting different parts of whatever they kind of like scripted out. And, when you have a team as good as like the Usos, for example, they would just you probably wouldn't even notice it because they would pick something up, go right to something else. But you could see that there was like, the Kabuki Warriors don't speak English, and Jade is still pretty green at everything.
In the ring,
yeah. So you could see like everyone was really lost. And
who impressed you most in this match out of these four? Instead of like just we know that Jade's the newest one and is still working her way, but of everybody in this match, who impressed you most?
Yeah, I mean, I think Bianca is going to be really. I would say the double teams that Bianca and Jade were doing were really cool. Okay. There were some that where they really tossed Kairi Sane up super high, and then she dropped. Watching Jade is gigantic, and then watching Bianca, like a legit athlete, stomp little Kairi into the ground was pretty entertaining. You could just see like, okay, they could do the Hoss stuff when they want to. I mean, that's really probably where Jade should be headed, is just hossing up people up.
Sure, until she gets really into the title picture and has to do things like sell. Like we were commenting as we were watching this here in Don't Bury the Lead Studios. Mm-hmm. Has Jade taken a bump in the WWE yet? I mean, she got tossed out of the Royal Rumble, but I mean, she probably landed on her feet. I mean, has she taken a bump yet?
This might be the first time.
At some point, Bianca's going for a hot tag. Kairi gets the hot tag from Asuka, runs across, leaps over Bianca, and socks Jade right in the kisser. And it's like, oh, a bump. Like, oh, no, wait. She jumps off the apron, lands on her feet.
Yeah.
So she still hasn't bumped. And then the weirdest part of the match happened. Jade lands on it. She takes a shot to the chin from someone half her size, lands on her feet off the apron, and then she just disappears for a few minutes.
Mm.
Like Bianca's fighting 2-on-1, and we're going, where's Jade? She landed on her feet. Where is she? And then, like, at one point, you could just see her little head peeking up over the ring apron. It's like, she didn't take a bump. She shouldn't be out for minutes. And it was just weird. I asked you the question, who impressed you the most? The person in this match who impressed me the most was Kairi Sane. Because I know the sort of the least about her.
Got a comment here.
Who's ready for WrestleMania 41 announcement?
Jordan, what up?
Yes, we were talking about this, that they haven't announced WrestleMania yet, and where would it be? And I wonder if they were trying to tease that maybe it would go to an outside of the U.S. destination, or they just maybe slow playing it to announce that it's going to be in Vegas.
Yeah,
I don't know. And they've got an NXT event in Vegas in June, early June. I think they said Sunday, June 9th. So maybe that's part of that big announcement. I don't know if they're going to wait that long, but yeah, where's WrestleMania 41 going to be? Tell us in the comments, are you all right with them moving WrestleMania out of the U.S. to, say, Europe, if it means that WrestleMania is going to take place in the afternoons like this show did?
Yeah.
Because like WrestleMania, like Backlash at 1 p.m, 10 a.m. if you're in California, Washington, Oregon. Okay, you can do that. But WrestleMania at 10 a.m. Pacific on a Saturday and then again on a Sunday, that may be a little iffy. As much fun as these crowds are sometimes, tell us where you would want WrestleMania 41 to be, and do you think it would benefit from being in a place like Europe?
Yeah,
just at an earlier time. So
maybe we can move on here. We talked about
sure. I think this will be a fun tag team. I'd like to see Jade continue to develop. I think Asuka and Kairi did a great job trying to make them look as strong as possible in this match. Bianca especially is a workhorse. So is Asuka. When Asuka and Bianca started this match,
Jordan says no to the afternoon.
No to the afternoon WrestleMania. I'm with you on that. It's fun for one of these minor pay-per-views, especially since we get to do something like this and we'll recap it.
Yeah.
But yeah, I think a big pay-per-view like WrestleMania has to be stateside because you want it to be prime time in the States. And so you have to. But yeah, this was a match where we're getting a taste of things to come. Kairi really impressed me with her ability to bump and sell, and to do a lot of work in this match. Asuka as well, but we already knew Asuka was great. Bianca as well, we already know she was great. This will be fun to see how long Bianca and Jade can hold these belts. Because they're not really a tag team. They're just here to give Jade something to do on TV, it feels like.
Yeah.
So I wonder how long this will take.
Cool. So I think the next match, and we only have 2 left, so I'll just pick one here.
Sure.
And the triple threat.
Okay.
We have Naomi versus Bayley versus Tiffany Stratton, and Bayley retaining by pinning Naomi.
Yes.
I thought this match was really good.
This was a fun triple threat. What stood out to you about it?
From my perspective, they went a really complicated route. So usually the triple threats, you knock one guy out, there's 2 in, there's 2 people, do-si-do, one person gets knocked out, the other person kind of not tags in, but then they go one-on-one. They were doing a lot of different spots that required all 3 parties to be in sync at the same time. You know, Bayley sets up Naomi, Bayley comes off the ropes, and then Tiffany Stratton hits her as she's coming off the ropes. And she's like not paying attention, not realizing that Tiffany's in the picture.
Sure.
Lots and lots of these. So I appreciate the fact that they went pretty complex with the strategy of like how they were laying out the match. Tiff was a little sloppy with a couple of the things, and we have praised her a lot, and I still think she's really good. And I don't think it's necessarily a bad thing. But like, for example, the belly to belly, she seemed like she got a little lost on how to take it. And she just and then Bayley just power slammed her down, which still works. So, you know,
it worked. It was just a big pickup and power slam rather than the suplex. But yeah, that was probably supposed to be a different looking spot.
Yeah. And then how about you? What'd you like about this one?
It went 14 minutes. I think this is the shortest match of the night, but a lot of action because of the triple threat. Yes, Bayley does get the pin here, and it was. We talked about all 3 women sort of being in this match almost the whole way. Bayley hit a neck breaker on Tiffany Stratton to send her out of the ring, and then Bayley and Naomi got to square off. Naomi went for a crucifix pin on the mat, and Bayley rolled and reversed it and hooked her leg for the pinfall. So it was a wrestling finish.
Yeah.
You know, too many of these matches, you start wondering, okay, we know this person's finisher is ... So they're not going to win it until they hit their finisher. Cody wins with the Crossroads after he hit the Cody Cutter. Damian Priest won with the South of Heaven choke slam. You know, after he had done a big clothesline. You know, Jade Cargill won by, you know, picking up Kairi Sane into that face plant, and then Bianca Belair hit the kiss of death. It's like we all know that. Bayley didn't hit the rose plant. She didn't hit any of those big finishing moves. It was a mat wrestling reversal on Naomi.
Yeah.
So that was pretty cool to see.
Mm-hmm.
I like when matches can be entertaining and finish without giving everybody the predictable formula. You know, I guess maybe it was, I mean, Hogan used to do that. It was the big boot. It was the body slam, the big boot, or the leg drop, or whatever, going into the pin. John Cena was infamous for the 5 moves of doom. So sometimes you get too much into that. I was glad that they did this match without it becoming formulaic. I enjoyed it.
Yeah.
Hugs from Bayley and Naomi afterwards. So they're playing up that, you know, there was animosity from them within the match. You know, at some point they really started getting chippy with each other, which is good because, you know, they're friends. Mm. So you can't have 2 friends in a triple threat match. You got to fight each other. But it looks like they're both going to stay baby faces, at least in the short term. So yeah, what say you? Anything there that any spots you wanted to call out? Because
there really 2 things I want to point out. They started slow, which was nice because the other match started so fast, and the crowd was already Looney Tunes at that point by the second match. So they could start slow, and that's what they did. I really think Naomi did a good job also playing to the crowd and making them understand when to cheer, especially she came out and they were acting so cool with her. Like they were like fist pumping with her as she's fist pumping. I thought that was really, really cool. And, you know, kudos to France's crowd. Let me get the name of it. Lyon, France. Kudos to the people in Lyon because it was a really cool spectacle for some of the entrances and some of the spots. Those are the 2 things I wanted to point out. I think you already mentioned the corner spot that I really liked. So you
corner spot, yeah. Naomi did her split moonsault on Tiffany, but Bayley broke up the pin. Naomi did another sit-out powerbomb on Tiffany Stratton for a 2 count. Then transitioned right into a submission once Tiffany kicked out, which was great. Bayley broke it up by elbow dropping off the second turnbuckle there. And then Bayley went right into a cover on Naomi, who kicked out. So that was an example of all 3 wrestlers being involved in sequences.
Yeah.
And the timing was very good on those. Tiffany Stratton, I love her handspring into the back elbow in the corner. And I also liked it when she tried it on Bayley at one point. Bayley caught her. You know, so she didn't connect with it. That was great. On the outside, Tiffany picks up Naomi, cartwheels while she has Naomi picked up. And then Alabama slams her onto the announce table. Then Alabama slams Bayley onto the other announce table. Throws him back into the ring. Goes for the prettiest moonsault ever on both wrestlers. Both wrestlers roll out of the way. So again, all 3 wrestlers involved in a sequence, and it looked good. I think every wrestler in this match looked really good. Some of the Tiffany Stratton, some of her timing was off on, especially that Bayley to belly suplex. But I mean, she's only been up on the main roster for a few months.
Yeah, some of the stuff was a little off, but she's way ahead of schedule.
Yeah, I mean,
she's the best NXT call up we've seen for sure on SmackDown.
Oh wow, yeah.
I mean, probably any for at least the year and a half we've been watching.
Yeah, future looks bright for Tiffany Stratton. It's good to have Naomi back in the WWE. The crowd seems not to have forgotten about her.
No.
And Bayley seems to be over as a babyface, which after a tremendous heel run where she was like one of our favorite wrestlers, men or women on the roster, because of that heel run with Damage Control.
Yeah.
Good to see her over as a babyface.
You know, from my perspective, I think this is probably either the best match or second best match of the night. I would say you could either say it was the best or the second best, and you wouldn't have much to complain out of me. So I think it's one of the better ones. And even though we kind of pushed it here to the end, I think it was one of the better matches. Well, okay, one more match remaining.
So was the opener.
The opener. So Kevin Owens and Randy Orton versus Solo Sikoa and Tama what?
Tama Tonga.
I gotta get his name down. Tama Tonga. It's like a Vince thing. It's an alliteration.
Solo Sikoa, Tama Tonga.
So Solo Sikoa and Tama Tonga go over and win by the fact that we have Tongaloa.
Tongaloa.
Tongaloa is a new member of the bloodline, apparently.
Tell us in the chat in the comments, do you know Tongaloa? Is this someone who's wrestled as Tongaloa somewhere else? Or is it someone you recognize who was wrestling under a different name? There have been rumors that a bloodline family member, Jacob Fatu, is due into the WWE soon. Is Tongaloa Jacob Fatu with a different name? Or is this actually a different wrestler that you know from somewhere else? I had never heard of Tongaloa. At this point, when the WWE tells me that there's a new family member of Roman Reigns who's jumping out of the crowd and punching someone, I just go with it. Right. Like, oh, he's got another relative who wrestles and hits people. Great.
It could easily just be some Italian guy.
It could be anybody.
And they're like, he's Samoan.
Yeah, like it could be anybody. At this point, like, whatever. Okay, yeah, there's another guy in the bloodline. And he's interfering in a match. Go figure. Okay.
Yeah.
Solo wins with a spike on Kevin Owens after this became a 3-on-2 match. Mm-hmm. Up until that point, it was pretty even, and you could say that Kevin Owens and Randy Orton had the advantage for a while.
It looked like Kevin Owens and Randy Orton were about to win it before the interference, which is pretty much textbook bloodline.
It is.
It looked like the babyface was going to win, but then they cheated somehow to win. It was pretty wild because they turned it into a no DQ before the match started. So when they turned it into a no DQ, it ended up being a lot of weapons. Just like weapon shots through the crowd, shots going through the crowd, brawling, weapon shot. I think those are like my notes pretty much.
This match goes 20 minutes bell to bell, but like you said, there was a full 2 minutes where they're just brawling on the outside and Kevin Owens is hitting stunners on people dressed in security shirts who are trying to pull them apart until Nick Aldis comes out and starts yelling at them, if this is how you guys are going to act, then this is going to be a street fight. And, of course, this is the opening match of the night. The crowd is already hot because they're seeing a pay-per-view. They're getting a brawl right away. Then they're getting a street fight. Guys are taking trash can lids and trash cans, kendo sticks, tables, eventually chairs. The finish involves chairs as Kevin Owens does the Fisherman Buster on Tama Tonga through 4 chairs. But that's when Tongaloa comes in, pulls the ref out of the ring to break up that pinfall, and then eventually Solo Sikoa gets the finish there. But I wrote early, like this match takes place entirely on the floor. It was quite a while before they got into the ring and did something. I think the first pinfall attempt was about 15 minutes into this match. Mm-hmm. It was Randy Orton recovering and sneaking up behind Tama Tonga, who had a chair with him, who had been beating Kevin Owens with it. And then he swings the chair at Randy Orton, who ducks. And then Randy recovers, hits the clothesline, the power slam off the ropes, RKO for 2 count, broken up by Solo Sikoa. So that was finally when it became in the ring a wrestling match. I don't think this crowd needed any extra push to get amped up for this pay-per-view. Yeah. But if they had been a dead crowd, this match, the way it started, would have gotten them into it. I don't know that it was the greatest match, but it was the kind of opener that definitely involves the crowd right away.
Oh, yeah. And it was one of these things where the crowd was way into it. They didn't really need to get them into it, and they were into it. It was fun. It was silly. Lots of action. Only thing I would say before we get into the thumbs up or thumbs down, there was a moment where there's Prime stuff everywhere. Prime is apparently spending, I can't even imagine what the ad spend is for Prime, but they're spending tons of money to advertise. So Kevin Owens has like some sort of Prime plate in his hand, some like piece of aluminum or metal or something like that, said Prime on it, and he spits on it, and the crowd cheers. And all I can think is like, is this what they want people to spit on the Prime logo? And then the crowd's like, yay, or babyface spit on the Prime logo. So I'm just curious from a business perspective. Maybe any attention is good attention.
Yep.
So even if it's Kevin Owens spitting on the logo. But so
where are the Prime logos on the tables that people are going through? Where are the Prime logos on the chairs?
Right.
Where's the Prime logo on the kendo stick, on the trash cans? Why not? It's a hardcore match.
Right.
You know.
I'm sure it's been discussed because they have crammed as much advertising into that space as possible.
Yes. Maybe the kendo sticks could be Slim Jims.
Right.
Right. And that kind of fits a little more. So.
Oh my God. How have they not done that? Why aren't they Slim Jims they're hitting them with? Come on.
Kendo sticks. Large kendo sticks painted beef color.
Beef color. Yes, exactly.
Snap into a kendo Slim Jim. There you go. We are not drinking Prime Energy. This was an oatmeal stout.
Cheers, Tom.
Cheers. This was an oatmeal stout. I've now put a little bit of water in the bottom of the can because, well, the oatmeal stout is gone.
I have some left, so I'm drinking it. It's really good. This is not a sponsorship, but this is from a really good brewery in Clayton.
Well, we might as well put it up there. Core 3 Brewery in Clayton. I picked it up a few days ago when I knew that we'd be joining up for here in Don't Bury the Lead Studios for this pay-per-view. You know, got to show up with a 4-pack of oatmeal stout pints. These are not your 12-ounce cans. These are your pints.
Yeah.
There you go. This was a good sipping beer. So I think we've said what we had to about Backlash. Is it draft time?
You know, Dom, we talk about the show, and then we were going to go into the next segment here where it's the thumb drive.
It is. It's time for us to distill this into a simple thumbs up or a thumbs down. There are no ties. There are also no letter grades, no number grades, no star ratings. You're taking this course. Pass, fail.
Tom, we don't do star ratings. We're not Dave Meltzer. We don't do 7 stars in the Tokyo Dome. We don't do 4 stars in France. We don't do 2 stars in Pittsburgh, Pennsylvania. No. We say it's either good, pass, fail, thumbs up, thumbs down. That's it. So are you ready?
I believe so.
This is a lot easier together.
Yes, it is.
1, 2, 3.
2 French baguettes up.
Oui.
For Backlash in Lyon, France. What gave you the thumbs up here?
This one was pretty easy. This crowd really carried everything throughout, even with the one little not so great tag match. They're going crazy throughout it. So I feel like that was a really interesting aspect of it. And all the matches were solid to good. Like nothing was amazing and it was like, hey, you have to watch this one. But they were all really good. Specifically leading up to the main event, probably the match of the night with Cody Rhodes and AJ Styles. I think those two really delivered. Not much of a surprise to see them deliver because both are so good. Specifically Styles, and Cody continues to kind of impress here as the in-ring with his in-ring stuff. How about you?
5 matches, perfect. Perfect. Oh, we may have someone joining us here in the booth. No, not yet. Oh, that's too bad. We're just going through the thumb drive.
And you can bring them in.
Yeah. All right. Okay. We may have a third man in the booth here. Oh, the magic of being live at Don't Bury the Lead Studios. Don't Bury the Lead Studios here. This will be great. I gave it a thumbs up because no bad matches. Everything was entertaining. Even the stuff where we're looking at some of the newer wrestlers and saying, okay, they need a little work to be really pay-per-view upper echelon quality. But they also did a good job of spinning some storylines forward. Judgment Day is going to be a big deal going forward. The new members of the bloodline and who's really the tribal chief is going to be a good angle going forward. Jade Cargill and Bianca Belair, now they've got belts. What happens to them? That's going to be going forward a big deal. And then it's going to be, the baby faces friends. How long are they going to stay friends? Like at what point does Randy Orton turn on Kevin Owens? At what point do Naomi and Bayley not just hug it out every time?
Yeah.
So I think there's a lot of interesting stuff going forward. So there are reasons to watch Raw and SmackDown this week to see what comes out of Backlash. I think it's pretty good, and it was over in 3 hours. Like, it just didn't take all day to get here. We saw 5 good matches. It wasn't overdone. It wasn't oversold. The crowd may have been over the top at times, but at least they were amusing.
Yes.
Yeah.
Right.
I liked it.
So that's our grade. 2 thumbs up for this show. And as always, impressive when it leaves the United States. It's like anywhere else besides the U.S., crowds are berserk.
Yeah.
They're really like unglued. I don't know how they get them in such a frenzy. And anytime I had no idea what a French crowd would be like. I was like, no, what are French people like at sporting events? I don't even know. And then this was just like, oh, it's just like typical UK maybe really stuff. Had a vibe.
We understand almost the European soccer fan trope that they're just crazy about everything. But yeah, a good crowd, I think. We're almost time for Cheap Heat.
Yeah.
Oh.
But he'll wander all around?
Yeah.
Okay, cool.
Is it time for Cheap Heat? And for the third man in the booth? Hey, buddy!
If this isn't Cheap Heat, what is?
All right. Bye-bye, Liz.
It's cheap.
It's Heat!
It's
Cheap Heat! And we're joined by the third man. And who is the third man? It's Hulk Hogan. It's Hollywood Hogan. No. It's my new friend, Baby John. How are you, buddy?
This is our show we're doing.
Yeah. You want to see yourself? You are right there on that camera. Do you see you? That's you. It is time for Cheap Heat. This is when we go a little beyond just the shows that we watch every week to the world of wrestling. And what else about Cheap Heat here? What did you think of the pay-per-view today? Did you give it a thumbs up or a thumbs down? Was this number one? It was. We're getting a hand up. We're getting a hand up from the third man in the booth today. Very good. 1, right? 1. All right. Yes. All right. Let's go through some stories here. First up, and this one was selected as really the lead of Cheap Heat because it goes beyond wrestling. Tony Khan shows up doing NFL draft interviews last weekend wearing a neck brace because he was involved in an on-screen angle in All Elite Wrestling, AEW. This is fantastic.
Yeah.
Tony Khan just selling the wrestling angle while he's doing his NFL job as a chief something or other. He's in the C-suite. His father owns the Jaguars. He's in the C-suite. There he is, Tony Khan on the NFL Network, still selling the effects of the TK driver last Wednesday. This is just fantastic. I love it. You could see him there with his neck brace on. They kind of talked to him a little bit about this here. You know, and he's telling them, yeah, I was involved in a little something in the ring. So he's Tony Khan is selling it. You like to see guys sell their product, don't you?
Yeah, I thought it was a really cool thing for them to go through and actually do, because ultimately, at the end of the day, you know, it gets some advertising for the product on NFL, like around the NFL. So you have that cross branding. And then in addition to that, it was really cool to just sort of see, you know, him. It's so goofy to see Shad Khan, then Tony Khan with a neck brace, and then Doug Peterson next to them, like, who clearly isn't a pro wrestling guy. Like, what's going on here?
Yes, we saw some of those pictures last week. Yes, of Tony Khan even selling the neck brace in the Jaguars war room.
And it's a first round pick they're making, you know. So it's like, oh, this is a pretty major part of the draft here.
Yes.
And yeah, so
this was impressive. This was like a day or two later. He's still going on TV and interviews.
Yeah.
So very good there. Some more AEW and injury news. Although this time it's Darby Allin, who is recovering apparently from a real injury. He posts this to his Instagram. That awkward moment when you're crossing the street in New York with a broken foot and get hit by a bus.
Oh, wow.
Like, and my first reaction to hearing this and even seeing this is saying, Darby Allin getting hit by a bus. That's not even in his top 10 bumps that he's taken, right?
Right.
This does not even make Darby Allin's top 10 getting hit by a bus. Like, oh, he got hit by a bus. What, did he kick out at 2?
Most people that would get hit by a bus, it'd be a really big deal, and they'd have to do all these things. But as far as Darby's concerned, this is like the perfect guy to get hit by a bus.
Absolutely,
because he destroys his body so often.
I mean, he sold well for the bus.
Right.
Like, there's no way this guy sold the bus. Like, the bus came out of this looking like a champ.
Yeah. Pretty interesting. He gets hit by a bus, and I would say it looks like he's all right. And it's one of these things where I don't have a ton of sympathy for a guy who makes all of these high risk, high maneuver stuff. It's not, I shouldn't call it sympathy, but I'm not as worried about him. I'm like, oh yeah, he could get hit by a bus. He'll be fine.
He knows how to fall.
He knows how to take a bus bump, So he's perfect for it. Although I did see, he looks like he hurt his face, which is like, did he face bump the bus? Like, how did that happen?
I'm not sure. I didn't see actual footage of the bump. I mean, I wonder who called the spot, Darby or the bus.
Was it Darby or the bus?
Did Darby call the spot?
Yeah.
It's like, all right, go for it. He's like, telling the bus driver, I'm ready, go for it, now.
Now, do it.
We make fun because Darby Allin is that kind of wrestler and because he's apparently okay. More from Instagram, Logan Paul and his fiance, Nina Agdal, a gender reveal for their baby. They're having a baby girl. And part of how they did the gender reveal is they had a wrestling match at their gender reveal party between someone representing the boy baby and someone representing the girl baby. And yes, someone who was invited to the party put up a little footage there on X, Twitter, drama alert, sent to drama alert. Yes, there's the pink and the blue. And no, the pink wrestler kicks out at 2 there. So this is how you do a gender reveal if you're Logan Paul, right?
Yeah, doing it pretty big as far as a gender reveal is concerned. Not a huge fan myself of the gender reveal, but hey, listen, this is how you do it. You got to do it right?
If you're going to do it, this is how you do it. I mean, maybe there were blue and pink Prime bottles all over, and people got to make their guess based on that. I'm not sure, but congratulations to Logan Paul and his fiance, and to the 2 wrestlers who came out. It looks like they put on a pretty entertaining match here for the gender reveal match.
Yeah, I wonder if they're affiliated with the WWE or if they're just like some guys in Arizona or wherever he's located there.
These are some pretty good reversals and spots here. I like these. They worked hard for this. This was good.
These don't look like regular jobbers, but who knows?
We mentioned the largest gate for an arena show that WWE had. WrestleNomics got some information in this week, just a couple of days ago. AEW Revolution grossed $1 million in ticket sales, which is a big deal for AEW. They don't do this a lot. London All In generated $10 million, which is a lot for them. Their other $1 million ticket sales events have been Forbidden Door in Toronto, Double or Nothing in Las Vegas, Full Gear in Newark, All Out 2022 in Chicago, and AEW Grand Slam in New York. One of these things is not like the other. New York and Newark, New Jersey, that's the largest metropolitan area in the U.S.
Yeah.
By far. There's almost 20 million people in the New York metropolitan area, which includes Newark right across the Hudson River. Toronto's the biggest metropolitan area in Canada. Let's see, Chicago, third biggest metropolitan area in the U.S. These are huge areas. Vegas, entertainment capital of the country. So that makes sense. AEW Revolution this year was in Greensboro.
Yeah.
Greensboro is in North Carolina. Greensboro is not even the largest metropolitan area in North Carolina.
Yeah.
It's not even the second largest in North Carolina. There's like 700 to 800,000 people in the Greensboro metro area.
Yeah.
For them to do $1 million in revenue on this arena show is a big deal. This, of course, was headlined by Sting final match, which included Darby Allin taking a bump that was even more of a big bump than getting hit by a bus.
Right.
When he went through the pane of glass.
Mm-hmm.
My goodness, that bump there. So yeah, Darby was just.
I wonder if it was a destination for a lot of super big Sting fans to watch his last match.
Sure.
So maybe if you're a couple hours north or south or east, or let's just say west rather.
Mm-hmm.
Maybe if you're within driving range of Greensboro, you're like, okay, let's go, let's take the trip. Maybe you're a short flight away, and you're like, I gotta see Sting's last match. So it feels a little bit like maybe it was a big destination, and they did a great job promoting the fact that it was Sting's last match because they did it for like several months ahead. They're like, it is happening. This is the date. This is his last everything. And they really squeezed as much as they could out of it. It's cool to see that it was a lot of success. I liked the show. I know you got it. I liked it a lot. I thought it was one of their better pay-per-views.
It was a fun show. I'd be interested to see. This is typical, very good detailed WrestleNomics breakdown here of getting to that 1 million mark. Mm-hmm. I'd be interested to know what kind of sales they did online with Bleacher Report for the pay-per-view. Mm-hmm. Because there are a lot of people like me who are buying it who wouldn't normally buy an AEW pay-per-view or any pay-per-view, really.
Yeah.
I mean, we do WWE Premium Live Event pay-per-views because we watch SmackDown regularly and because that's part of Peacock. Mm-hmm. You know, your Peacock subscription it gives you, you're not paying extra for a WWE event. So I'd be interested to know that would almost be a bigger deal as to what kind of online buy rate did they get. Great news for AEW. It's good when there's a second really healthy, thriving promotion at least in the U.S. wrestling market, right?
Yeah, you need some competition on the WWE, or you wouldn't even imagine how much Prime advertising we would have. It would just be a big Prime infomercial, and that would be it. And if they cornered the market to that point, they could just do whatever they want. And no, we saw stuff in like 2018, 2019 when, you know, WWE was the only show in town and how lazy they got. So yeah, it's good. It's good for the fans when there is a second promotion.
If AEW being strong is why we got such a good backlash today in France, then thank you AEW.
Right.
For pushing WWE. He's back. The third man is back.
This is some cheap heat putting the baby up.
We're talking about the third man in the booth. How about a third major wrestling promotion? Nick Nemeth wins the AAA Mega title. He's also part of Impact Wrestling, and he has a New Japan belt. So the former Dolph Ziggler is all over the place. He wins the AAA title. This is Mexico's biggest event, Triple Mania 32 in Monterrey, Mexico. He beats Alberto El Patron for this. Alberto El Patron, of course, is the former Alberto Del Rio, with whom, and WrestleZone has this coverage for us here. They also put together Dolph Ziggler, Nick Nemeth best feuds, and one of them, of course, in their top 5 is, of course, his feud with Alberto Del Rio that was in WWE. Like, this is tremendous.
Yes.
I don't know how much you guys tell us in the chat, tell us in the comments. What do you remember about the great Dolph Ziggler, Alberto Del Rio feud? There are some wipes over there. Feud from WWE. And what do you think about the fact that each of them are still going strong, maybe a decade later, and they're wrestling for the biggest prize there in AAA, the AAA Mega title at Triple Mania 32 in Monterrey. Let's see, maybe let's take a chance that they won't get mad at us about this, but this is the aftermatch of Nick Nemeth after he pins Alberto El Patron to win the vacant AAA Mega Championship. So the crowd seemed to have been behind him. This was a big deal. Great to see the former Dolph Ziggler, Nick Nemeth, succeeding and doing so in multiple promotions at once. This guy's almost become like a super indie wrestler at this point. He's got the name recognition. He can hold belts almost anywhere they bring him in.
He's always been good enough in the ring, and he's had a good enough career in the WWE. I just don't think he was that number one top tier guy like Randy Orton or something like that, but he was pretty close throughout his whole career. And yeah.
I have heard no less a wrestling authority than Eric Bischoff say that if he were going to, and maybe this will be a tease for something we'll do a little later, if he were going to draft a new wrestling promotion, he has often said that one of his very high picks, one of his very early picks, would be Nick Nemeth, because he thinks that Nick Nemeth can do just about anything you want. He's a personality. He can cut a promo. He understands ring psychology. He can work any kind of match you need. He's that kind of athlete. He has the amateur background as well. He can even do lighthearted and some comedy spot stuff. That he's one of the elite all-around. In baseball, they talk about 5-tool players.
Yes.
Like Nick Nemeth has everything you could want out of a pro wrestler. And, Eric Bischoff has said multiple times on his 83 Weeks podcast that if he was starting a promotion, he'd pick Nick Nemeth very early on as one of the linchpins there.
Mm-hmm.
So, big props there. No surprise at all that he's finding success away from WWE.
I take you down in the bottle.
We'll go back to Instagram here. Lots of rumors about Drew McIntyre, and is he still with the WWE? His contract status has been up in the air for a while. The Rock posting on Instagram that they have re-signed Drew McIntyre, and he presents him with a large Scottish claymore, which of course is a sword. And, of course, you're sitting down to dinner somewhere and a guy with an enormous sword walks over.
Right.
With a big sword, a card first saying, I guess, congratulations, we've accepted your contract offer. You're still on the team. And there you go. There's your sword. Not a bad way to be interrupted at dinner. So Drew McIntyre is still with the WWE. What do you think about that signing? Were you expecting him to be back, or were you expecting him to go somewhere else, like perhaps AEW?
I am not too surprised to see him sign, and maybe they forked over the money. I think he kind of was alluding to the fact that he could leave, and there was some, understanding that, he might want to, and they probably just forked over the money. And he probably looks like he has a feud set up already with CM Punk, and he's really solid, and he's been very reliable for them for years. So
we're also in cheap heat since our background is finally showing.
Oh yeah.
So was part of why they may have re-signed him here, and if you're watching us live, tell us in the chat. If you're watching on the recording, tell us in the comments. Did it work in Drew McIntyre's favor here? That he's been doing, as some people have said, maybe some of the best work of his career recently. Mm-hmm. Like, it's not like he was dogging it the last few months, and WWE's like, we don't need this guy.
Yeah.
He's been so good the last few months.
Yeah.
Royal Rumble, feuding with Punk, feuding with Rollins.
He picked the right time to have a contract dispute,
Right, to do the best work of his career.
Yeah. He put some good stuff forward, and then in addition to that, it looks like AEW has been really handing out some really big contracts to Okada, etc. So Will Ospreay's another guy that got paid. MJF, I know they're doing a storyline gimmicky thing, but MJF got paid. So it looks like Mercedes Moné got paid.
Yes.
So all these people getting paid big money from AEW. I'm sure WWE had to step up and pay him, which is good. Like, it's good that there's two options there, and the wrestlers can finally get paid money.
Speaking of more options, the former Jinder Mahal, who was released, is making plans for his indie run. He has applied to trademark Raj Desi and the Maharaja which were a couple of nicknames he had as Jinder Mahal in the WWE. WWE does this a lot where they trademark people's names or whatever. So maybe Jinder Mahal learned from being in the WWE. Trademark some of your names that you're going to go out on that are valuable to you on the indie circuit. This is a good business move by him. And it speaks to the fact that he's serious about continuing his wrestling career.
Yeah. I think it's good that he is, that he gets ahead of that, right, before he gets everything trademarked. Although who knows with Triple H now if he'll be a little bit looser. Or I'm sure they still probably will be kind of crazy about it. Come here.
Jinder Mahal put out a quote here. He said, but what's next? What's next for the Maharaja? I've been here before, alluding to the first time he parted ways with WWE before coming back. That time, I was a kid, but now I'm a man. I will only present myself in a way that I want to. I will only do things that I want to. I will only go places that I want to. I still have many goals, many dream matches, many places I want to go. Where do I make an impact? I'll make an impact. India, Europe, Japan, Canada, Red Hook section of Brooklyn. Stay tuned.
Yeah.
You got about 11 more weeks, alluding to the 90 days there, where he has he's no compete. But good to see him being there. Deadline. $7, which is Dwayne Johnson, The Rock's production company, is going to produce Who Killed WCW, a docuseries for Vice TV. Who killed WCW, buddy? It was me? I killed WCW? Oh, boy.
Yeah.
We will find out here. Bump up that font size there for you. Interesting thing about this to me was The Rock saying that this epic saga known as the rise and fall of WCW, personally, the rise of WCW, not the fall, inspired me greatly in my career where I would eventually become the final boss. So this is not a WWE guy just, again, poking fun at the WCW.
Yeah.
This is The Rock saying, WCW was a big part of me, my early career wanting to do this, and an influence in him in a positive way. That's good to see.
What if? Yeah, I hope that they do the right thing and they start to kind of call out the financial issues that WCW had, because WWE always sort of represented the fact that we were so much better creatively, and that's why we were able to win. But I think that was ultimately that WCW.
He's going for the Camden.
Yeah, WCW didn't pay. Or WCW just didn't have the right financial
Shake hands. Shake hands.
Goals. I think, WCW, you can look back on, too, when they were paying the wrestlers. They had paid Stevie Ray like $1 million. Disco Inferno was getting $350K. And this was in the late 90s. And it's just like, these aren't guys that are should be making as much as like ball players.
They also had creative issues played into their financial issues because they would never have a show prepared. So they're first class flying all the talent out to every Monday Nitro. For half of them at least to just sit in the back.
Right.
Like they're paying everybody's airfare. And if they're away somewhere, maybe hotel. Yeah. So their overhead was through the roof as well. But the fact that The Rock is saying this about the WCW and talking about their product positively makes me think that they're going to do this documentary, perhaps maybe unbiased. Like this isn't about them taking shots at WCW. They're going to look at it from maybe a more objective standpoint. That may be fun because I think there's always that question when you see these things like, okay, what's the agenda of the person making this video? What's the agenda of the person who's making this documentary or whatever?
Yeah.
Like, what acts did they have to grind? Or what are they trying to protect? So maybe it takes The Rock's production company to give this story a fair shake. And this comes to us from Deadline. Thank you very much, Deadline.
Yes. I'm looking forward to it. I think it sounds cool.
Back to WrestleZone for another one. John Laurinaitis To corroborate with Vince McMahon in a lawsuit against Janelle Grant, John Laurinaitis was named in that rather displeasing lawsuit there. After initially not going along with Vince McMahon's story, John Laurinaitis' team sat down with Vinnie Mac's legal team and said, you know what? I'm going to change my story to your story. There is no way this is believable. None. No way possible. These guys are treating this trial like it's a pro wrestling work. There is no way you just turned like this in the real world. It doesn't work that way. They will probably get away with it, though, because the American legal system often resembles pro wrestling at this point. But the fact that he was like, trying to actually defend himself and distance himself with Vince McMahon, and now here he's going, you know what, we're going to kind of join forces. I agree with everything you said. Everything what that guy said. It's his story. His story's true the whole way. You want to sit up here, buddy? What do you think of this lawsuit? This is a crazy little lawsuit, isn't it? So
maybe
not a ton to say about this. Just kind of ongoing story here.
I would say, from my perspective, Dom, it's interesting to see that this story kind of continues to drag on. But John Laurinaitis has never been a guy that's been like highly thought of. So it'll be interesting to see if like this is helpful to Vince or not. It'll be a freak show.
Fully joining in and adopting Vince McMahon's motion to compel arbitration. So they want to maybe keep this out of an actual court trial and go to private arbitration, some other dispute or resolution. Whatever. Starkly contrasts the statements he released for Laurinaitis back in February, in which his client was painted as a victim of all this.
And check out the article below this, Teddy Long. John Laurinaitis is one of the worst pieces of shit on the planet. So
now that's some cheap heat.
Yes.
Right there. We talked about T's draft before with Nick Nemeth. Let's finish up cheap heat talking some WWE draft since they just did the draft. And right after Backlash is when they typically do the changeover for people taking up shop in their new brands here. So we know all of the people who were drafted onto SmackDown and Raw now. They did night 1 on SmackDown. They did night 2 on Raw. And they also announced other things separate from those televised shows, other draft picks separate from theirs. Let's go. Who is your favorite wrestler who is staying on SmackDown, since that's what we watch? I'll tell you mine. I'll throw mine out. Yeah, let me talk to you. L.A. Knight.
Yeah.
I'm so glad that L.A. Knight is still on SmackDown. But I think there's more to do with his character. He's still way over with the crowd. He's still in great shape. He works well. I'm so glad that L.A. Knight is going to still be on SmackDown. Who say you?
I'm in the same boat. L.A. Knight. We've been pretty big L.A. Knight super fans over here for a while, and we've watched him grow, and I'm hoping he wins the title at some point.
Who say you? Is it L.A. Knight or is it the Bloodline? The Bloodline is also staying on SmackDown, Little John. What do you think? Are you proud that we're going to still see L.A. Knight, on SmackDown? Is that good? Is it good that we're still seeing L.A. Knight? Yes, he's giving me the stare. I think he says yes.
He put his finger up, so that must mean
the third man in the booth is giving us the yes sign for that. So the Bloodline would be runners up there because I also think the Bloodline story has a ways to go, even without Roman Reigns. Mm-hmm. So nice to see them there. And without the belt, there was a chance that the Bloodline could be moving over to Raw, but they're keeping them on SmackDown. So LA Knight is my favorite that we're still going to see. This, of course, does not count people who had championship belts who were not eligible to switch brands. So people who could have switched brands, LA Knight, I'm most glad to see that he's staying here. There he was in round 3. Who are you most disappointed to lose from SmackDown? I'll give you mine.
Ooh.
It's Io Sky and the rest of Damage Control. I was an Io Sky fan when we saw her and Dakota Kai in the tag team for a while. I thought she did really well for herself, elevating as a singles wrestler. I'm gonna miss Io Sky, and I'm going to miss Asuka and Kairi Sane, especially Asuka. Now that they don't have the belt anymore, they're going to Raw. Yeah. I'm going to miss.
Let me see you scroll down.
Who we're losing? Who's going to Raw? Braun Breaker we're losing. Io Sky, those were the big one. That was the Raw pool round 1 draft choice for Raw. So we're losing them from SmackDown. Other people who are leaving, the LWO is leaving. We're also losing the Final Testament.
Put that down. The Final Testament.
Okay.
Final Testament is a Don't Bury the Lead. Famously, our first ever short that ever got over. It's us being like, "What's Karrion Kross's gimmick? This is really confusing." And then it just kept going and going and getting weirder and weirder. So every SmackDown, we had the opportunity to do a little comic relief. What is Karrion Kross's gimmick? Is he a waiter? Is he a dancer? Is he a card player? Like, what does he do?
What's he doing?
And there's all kinds of weird things that he does. And it wasn't like a Bray Wyatt creepy weird. It was just like odd and black and white all the time.
It was searching for my gimmick weird.
Yes.
And we joke, but this may be the worst time to not be watching Karrion Kross because it looks like he may have found his gimmick.
It might have actually, yeah.
With this new stable here with Paul Ellering and Akam and Razar from the Authors of Pain. Like, he finally may be coming into his own with a gimmick, and he's going Raw. So we're gonna miss Karrion Kross.
He had a lot of. He was trying all kinds of goofy things. So from my end, it's he's gonna be the one I miss.
Who are you most glad to see moving over to SmackDown? I'll give you mine, and this is your influence here. It's Nia Jax.
Oh, yeah.
I'm glad that Nia Jax is coming to SmackDown here. I forget when exactly she was drafted. Night 1, but there she was. Round 2, Nia Jax was drafted over to SmackDown. I think I'm going to enjoy watching Nia Jax. We were both impressed by her title match against Rhea Ripley in Australia at Elimination Chamber. And I think she's, for her reputation as someone who's too rough with the smaller wrestlers and, who's maybe dangerous in the ring because of it. I want to see her. I think she's an A-level talent. She's the monster heel that some of these, that maybe the women's division needs. Maybe Bayley's going to need that. And if Jade Cargill ever gets into the singles division as a babyface, she's going to need a monster heel to face. So I think Nia Jax is a very useful wrestler, even though she's kind of pigeonholed as just monster heel. I think she's good in the role, and I'm looking forward to seeing her there. Who is it for you?
Well, from my perspective, if you want to,
Andrade's coming over.
Was there anything that happened? Oh, these are just as announced Friday. This is very.
We knew this. Let's see here.
Come here, bud.
The Pride is staying. Shinsuke Nakamura is also coming over to SmackDown.
I'll go outside the box here. I'll say Zoe Stark.
Okay, because Chelsea Green and Piper Niven are coming along as well. So we're getting a few DIYs coming over to SmackDown. Giovanni Vinci's coming back to SmackDown. Apollo Crews, Tegan Knox. Yeah. So where is Zoe Stark here?
Zoe Stark.
I just missed her.
Zoe Stark has done a.
There it is. No, she's staying on Raw. It looks like.
Oh, never mind.
She is a good talent though.
I would say Nia Jax, and let's stick with her.
Okay.
We both liked Nia in the one match we saw, which is interesting because most people on the internet hate Nia Jax, but we saw one match and liked her. So yeah.
We are not most people on the internet.
This is true.
We are Don't Bury the Lead.
Right. Say it. Yeah. Say it. Yeah. Yeah.
Who are you most disappointed is not coming over to SmackDown? The easy answer is Gunther.
Yeah.
I will say, yeah, we lost Gunther at last year's draft, and he's staying on Raw. So I'm sad that we're not getting Gunther.
It's 100% Gunther.
100%.
I can't even. I won't even bother looking at anybody else. Gunther is my favorite. Probably my favorite wrestler. The LA Knight's probably my favorite, but Gunther also is up there. So
you can't get a bad match, and if Gunther were coming over to SmackDown, you may see an LA Knight Gunther match. Yeah. Although they're both entered into King of the Ring, so we might get an LA Knight Gunther showdown if they're both maybe in the finals of King of the Ring or close to it.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, I would say Gunther as well. So check out, this comes to us directly from WWE.com. Just the rundown of everybody who was drafted both on the TV shows and afterwards, just announced on social media. That's what I got for you, John. It's cheap. It's heat.
It's cheap heat.
It is cheap heat. Baby John, tell us, is it cheap heat?
It's cheap heat.
It's cheap. It's heat. It's cheap heat. Yes, it is. We got a smile. It is cheap heat. Cheap heat gets 2 thumbs up from the third man in the booth. We love it. All right, that's what I had for you. I'll stop the share there.
Wow. So we're on to the Italian goodbye here.
It's Italian goodbye time.
And I'll tell you what, this was a lot of fun to do in real life today.
Yes, it was. Yes.
Italian goodbye is the part of the show. We typically will end it, but we can extend it as long as we'd like. From my perspective today, the only real reason to cut it short would be to get you to the bus down. What time is the bus?
Oh, I can get home anytime. They run until 11 o'clock at night. High five again. High five again. We high five right before. There you go. Oh, ones were the ones. There we go. We are getting. It has been a very successful third man in the booth here today.
Yes, he's done a great job. He's been very vocal, as you can tell here. Yeah, from my perspective,
Oh, he likes glasses.
He loves them.
Not yet, buddy. Those are too big for you. And your eyes are wonderful. You don't have any vision problems. When you get to be our age, sometimes your eyes need a little help.
It's one of those things.
Sometimes the eyes need a little, but your eyes are doing wonderful by themselves right now, right?
So I think this has been really fun to see you in real life, Dom. Thanks for coming over. The beer. Let's shout out the beer.
The beer again. We had a wonderful pizza. There were so many toppings on it. It was like a salad. We had a salad today, and then we had oatmeal stout from Core 3 Brewery. There they are, oatmeal stout from Core 3 Brewery in Clayton, New Jersey. If you're in New Jersey, you can go down to Core 3 and pick up some feels. I'm a stout and porter guy. I like the heavier beers. I like the sipping beers. I don't like to waste the higher end craft beers there, the good brews.
All right. Well, Dom, I'll tell you what. This is the Italian goodbye, and it looks like somebody is sleepy. So,
is it time for a nap?
Is it time?
Is it time for CM Punk to go to sleep? Is that what it is?
Is this why all the baby's crying here? He's heard CM Punk reference right now, and he started crying?
CM Punk was on the pre-show. I don't think he put anybody to sleep.
All right. So, thank you all so much for watching. Really appreciate it. Hope you enjoyed Backlash. Check us out on YouTube. We're up to 576 subscribers, so we're only, 24 away from 600 subscribers. We're slowly but surely getting to 300,000 total views, which is really remarkable.
Yes.
Considering where we started. And thank you so much for all your support. And Jordan for pitching in today. We have a ton of people on Twitter. If you're on Twitter, go to YouTube. Go to YouTube. Don't bury the lead. YouTube.
Find us there. That's where the mother load is. You can leave if you missed the live chat. You can leave comments at YouTube. We will read them. We enjoy when other people jump into the conversation. Don't say anything that might get us thrown off of YouTube. Be kind of, nice to us on the platform there.
Yeah.
But share your thoughts.
No slurs.
No slurs.
Or use the right slurs. You know what I mean. Be careful.
Be careful with the slurs. But tell us your thoughts. You don't have to agree with us. And we ask a lot of questions on this show because part of the fun of pro wrestling is that you don't get all the answers.
Yes.
Or like Roddy Piper said way back when, just when they think they have all the answers, I change the questions.
There you go. Well, great exit there. Baby John, let's send them out here. Thank you so much for joining, everyone. Have a great rest of your